Ys is an RPG video game series that started on the Sega Master System and the TurboGrafx. It's not as popular a video game series as, say, Final Fantasy, and the only reason I was really made aware of it was because the third game in the series was ported to the Super Nintendo. But there were also other ports for numerous other systems. While the graphics are a noticeable difference between the ports, the music is way more of a noticeable change. I really enjoyed the music on the Super Nintendo port of the game, but some of the other ports definitely have the upper hand as the music is in a heavy metal style and translates much more accurately on other systems. So let's talk a little about the game, since it's one that the average gamer might not know much about. The Ys series started out much like the Zelda series, and were top-down perspective RPG games. And much like how Zelda 2 took on a different style of gameplay with its side-scrolling sections, so did Ys 3, but to a greater extent. In Ys 3, you play as Adol, who is accompanied by his companion Doji. You return to Doji's hometown of Redmont to find that the townspeople are being threatened by men from a nearby castle. From here, you start your side-scrolling adventure to level up your character, collect items, and uncover the mysterious plot of what's been going on at the castle. I don't want to give too much of the plot away, just in case someone might be interested in playing the game for themselves, so let's just get right to the point. It's time for the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good. As I've said before, Ys 3 has many different ports that I find to be better than the Super Nintendo port. But that doesn't mean that the Super Nintendo port is a bad port. The graphics and music are still very well done, and the soundtrack is highly engaging and memorable. The controls are precise and responsive, so there's no frustration from making simple mistakes. Ys 3 can also be a rather short game and completed in just a few hours, so you don't have to set aside a large chunk of time to complete it. The game also uses a save system that allows you to save your game just about anywhere, with the exception being during boss encounters. There truly is a lot to like about this game, but first you have to get to the point where you're actually able to enjoy it. That might sound a little confusing, so I'll explain what I'm talking about in the bad. Starting out, Ys 3 is a pretty challenging game. Since you gain experience and level up, Adol starts off weak. Entering the first zone of the mines, it's not uncommon to die early on and often. This extreme challenge so early in the game might shy away some gamers, and was the reason why I didn't give it a fair chance for the longest time. Fortunately, the game does use a password system, which will certainly make things easier while trying to level up. I'm not saying that the game is too difficult, but it's just unbalanced early on in the game. Now, maybe there are cheats that you could use with the assistance of a game genie, but I never looked into that because I don't really like to cheat per se. Now, the method that I use to help myself early on in the game, it's not a cheat, but it is certainly cheap. And this brings us to the ugly. While this method isn't ideal for starting any game, it certainly helps with Ys 3 because of how unbalanced the difficulty is so early in the game. What you do is enter the mines. Then you position Adol so that he's just the right distance to attack the first monster without getting hit himself. After that, clamp down the buttons on the controller so that Adol is constantly crouching and attacking. The monster will get killed and keep respawning, which will gain Adol experience points and level him up. Just leave the controller in game like that for a while and
6.5 hours later.
Now Adol is a higher level and has much more hit points, which will make progressing much easier. Again, I fully acknowledge that this method is super cheap, which is why I decided to make it the ugly for the review. I don't really look at it like cheating though, since the game was already quite unbalanced from the start. I think of it more like evening things out, and there is still a decent challenge left in the game even when using this easy leveling up method. So there you have it, Ys 3 for the Super Nintendo. It's a game that really provides a good challenge, especially in the beginning because of how unbalanced it is. But once you get past that, it really is a pretty fun game. It's got a really rocking soundtrack that will totally keep you engaged in the game, even if the sound is a bit weaker than some of the other ports for the game. But I'm Joe from the Wrong Channel, and I totally recommend this game if you can find it. I mean, it's a little bit more obscure than some other common titles, so you might have to pay a little extra for it, but I wouldn't pay too much more for it. But if you get a chance, definitely play it. And like I said, I'm Joe from the Wrong Channel. Have a great day. Have a great day.